Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome. So I was thinking I kind of recorded in a good order, we'll say. I had recorded a couple ahead of time, and so I haven't recorded anything in 2 weeks. And it was perfect timing because I actually cracked my head on the trunk of my car. Those of you on video, you can see this. So pretty good, man. It looked horrible when it first happened, but I got a few stitches, and I was fortunate enough to get a nice black eye a few days later. So, but it's almost, my neighbor took the stitches out today. So it's looking good. Healing well. So, if you're watching the video and you see this this mark on my forehead, I figured I'd explain it. But that's life, it happens. Actually, I guess I'll touch on this just briefly. So when it happened, I cracked my head and just blood started pouring, and which obviously sucked. But right after that, I was really experiencing a lot of gratitude because we had actually lost power, and I went down and stayed at a hotel so I could do some work, and the bleeding stopped really fast, which is kind of odd for a head wound. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, that's good. And then I could drive. So I ended up, reached out to some friends in the area, and I decided, I was like, you know what, I had my dog with me, so I was like, I'm gonna bring Faith up to the mountain, drop her off at home, and then go to the hospital up near my house and get it stitched up, which was like a 45-minute drive to get to my house. So and I was driving, and I'm like, wow, how lucky am I that, one, I've got people down by the beach that are like, hey, come over here, we'll take care of you, we got you. I had those options available. There was very little traffic all the way back up to my house. That was cool. Dropped the dog off, went down to the hospital, which was another 15-minute drive down the mountain, and go in. There was like nobody in the emergency room. I walked right in. They didn't even ask me my name. They cleaned it up, stitched it up, and sent me on my way. Well, they did ask my name and age after, but that was it. And I was in and out of there in 10 minutes. I mean, only in the Dominican Republic is amazing. So, I was out in 10 minutes and stitched up. Everything was fine. It didn't cost me a penny. It was like, no insurance, no nothing. Just go in. They stitch you up and send you on your way 10 minutes later. So, I mean, like I said, so after the initial blow, everything went really well. And I was in a lot of gratitude kind of the whole way, of all the little things that were going my way. So it kind of turned into, I don't want it to happen again, but it wasn't that bad of an experience. So let's get on to the topic here. So this is pick a side, positive or negative, pick a side. And the reason I'm doing this now is because a couple weeks ago, it seemed like we had this big shift of energy, and it was pretty much around this topic. The reason I say that is because I could feel it. And also I saw people peers and other people talking about it online. And whenever I work with clients every other week, basically. And whenever I work with clients, there is almost always a pattern that I can pick up on. It's different for each person, but it's a version of a topic. So there's a pattern that people are dealing with. Like I said, that they deal with it. The way it manifests in their life is different for each person, but it's in alignment to teach a specific lesson. So it's really interesting. And this was what I was getting. And then I start working with clients and they're all getting their version of it. And I was like, oh my, yeah, this is big. And I've been talking about this for, I don't know, at least the last 2 years. So it's not that it's new. It's just that there was a big wave of it that came through. And to really induce this change, I feel. And what's happening is the middle ground is getting wider. It's disappearing. Like if you can imagine yourself on a pair of skis, you got one foot on each ski and the space in between is just getting wider and wider. And that gap, like at some point, you got to pick a side, and that's what's happening is the negative is getting more negative. The positive is getting more positive. So the love in the world, the people who are embracing love are they're leaning into it more. They're getting it deeper. Those of us that are on a spiritual path, there are some people that are kind of on a pseudo spiritual path. They're living an existence where they use a lot of spiritual terms. They go to a lot of spiritual events. They talk a good game, but they're really not internalizing it. Those people are being pushed to internalize it more. So they are and will continue to internalize it more. The people that have been internalizing it for a while will be internalizing it even more, taking it to new levels, right? Like we're in a spiritual shift, so it doesn't stay the same. I it's funny, like when you say that, it's like, well, no kidding, of course it doesn't stay the same. But if you pay attention to how most people function, and by most people I'm including myself, if I'm, I try to be honest with myself, and I see myself doing the same things that everybody else is doing. So I'll use myself as an example. Like I really try to live the spiritual life. I don't just try talking. I try to make sure my mouth and my feet are going in the same direction. I really try implementing and living what I speak of. I don't do it perfectly, but I really try to. And I've noticed that my understandings, this is a little bit separate, but kind of combined. My understandings are very deep. I understand things on a deep level. So that's all well and good. But when I implement them into my life, I have found, if I'm honest with myself, over the last 20 years in varying degrees at varying times, I have not implemented as well as I could have. Let's just say. Why? Because it's new. We don't know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So as we get these spiritual insights and these spiritual understandings, we try to implement them to the best of our ability. And we do. And that's good. But we can't implement it even more than we are. And that is what we're being pushed to do. So, like, just to understand the concept that I'm speaking of, I don't necessarily believe that this is what the universe is thinking, or what God is thinking. Okay. Who knows? I don't freaking know. But I'm just using it to explain the perspective that I'm trying to share with you. So, like, picture God or the universe up there going, okay, we're inducing this spiritual shift on that planet Earth. Okay. So we're like sending more love vibrations, where the negativity just is expanding on its own. I don't think the universe has to expand the negativity. I think human beings do that. I think negativity is basically a separation from source. So the more people stay in their separation from source, the worse things get. The more, if you're living motivated by greed, your life is going to get worse after 10 years of living motivated by greed than it was after 1 year of being motivated by greed. Right? So it's just going to continue to snowball and get worse the longer you're in that vibration. So the negativity is happening on its own. The positivity is trying to come in and be birthed into this world, into a new way of being, trying to create this new way of being based in love that's healthier. And that's trying to come in. So the universe keeps pumping this in, and it's creating more of a separation between the good and the bad. And like, we're over here going, yeah, let's live in love. Let's live in love. And the universe is like, okay, cool. I'm glad you're hearing me. I'm glad you're getting it. But like, you really have to do it more, like more. Okay. And we're like, yeah, more love. Okay. And then we try to implement love, and we do it a little bit better. But we still judge people and stuff like that. And the universe is like, okay, all right. More. No, like, you guys aren't even scratching the surface yet. You're just barely getting going. Like, more. We need more love out of you. We need more love out of you. We need you to embody the vibration of love more if this shift is actually going to take place. You people are saying that you're changing, but you're not fully changing. Like, you can change 10 times more than you're changing. I understand that you people don't know and you think that you're changing, but you're kind of not. You are a little, but you're changing about 10% of what I need you to change to actually get this shift induced and actually have this new way of being birthed onto the planet before all the knuckleheads out there, start a nuclear war and kill off the species. Like, we need to get this going here. We need this shift to happen. So the energies are just like, I believe that the energies are just shifting more and more to push us further. And so the middle ground is disappearing. Because think about it. If you were, I don't pretend, I don't know if you guys are going to understand this. I don't pretend that I know what God is thinking. Okay. Like, I know that I don't know. However, to me, it doesn't seem that difficult to figure out what makes sense. And that's kind of how I work. It's just like, if you understand the motivation, like, to me, like, God's motivation is love, to induce a new reality being birthed onto earth based in love, right? So if that's hypothetically true, then how would God work? How would it be induced? Well, he's not going to go down here touching people on the forehead and just waking people up, right? It's got to be this energetic shift, because we have free will. God can't override that free will. It has to be our choice. He's just trying to send more love energy down here. So basically, we're almost forced to choose. Now, he's not going to tell us what to choose. That's our free will. We can choose whatever we want. We can choose to stay caught up in the negativity, or we can choose to lean into the positivity. But we have to really choose to go into the positivity. We can't play both sides like we've been playing much longer. Because to be honest, that's what most of us have been doing, including myself. We're living spiritually as much as we possibly can, but we've also got one foot in the dysfunctional world and we're like, well, yeah, it's a bunch of crap and they're all arguing and it's dysfunctional and all that stuff. But I did live in it for 35 years or 55 years or whatever. And, it is very familiar. And a lot of my family and friends and loved ones are still there. So I don't know if I really want to disconnect from it fully, because I have connections over to that side, and that's what kind of keeps us playing both sides. And I'm not saying that we need to abandon our families and our friends that are not on this path. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is we do need to disconnect from that other side dramatically. And I'm trying to do it too. One good example, I think, is social media. So what I did, you guys probably know, every once in a while, I'll lean in on a topic and then lean back out after a few days. My personal feeling is that I don't like doing it. I feel that I'm guided to do it because I can kind of take the heat sometimes and explain myself in ways for the people that my explanations will help. Not necessarily, the reason I say that is it's not necessarily the person I'm quote unquote arguing with. It's actually for the people who are reading it, because I know I'm not changing the mind of anybody that I'm arguing with, nor am I trying to. I'm just trying to voice my side of my perspective, right? So that the people who are reading the thread that are actually interested in opening might understand my side better, the ones that are open. So, but I've just noticed a pull to stop doing that. So I stopped doing that. And it's interesting already. I've just been doing it for a week. Well, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks or something. But in that short period of time, we've had Biden drop out of the race. I'm recording this in the end of July 2024. So Biden just dropped out. Harris just got put up to run. The opening ceremony for the Olympics was getting a lot of controversy, and I've thrown out a couple things and then leaned back and not argued about it and just watched what happened, being more of the observer and purposefully. And it's interesting. It was kind of what I thought would happen. So I don't know that I learned too much new. It was just that it was nice because I got a real life example of what I was thinking. What I was thinking was okay, it's time to really disconnect from all the dysfunction going on in the world. Right. So I still shared some stuff, but I didn't say it was my opinion or anything. I didn't voice my opinion. I didn't voice my side, and I didn't back it up. I didn't argue with anybody. I didn't, I stayed completely away from that. And then I watched what happened with those things, kind of like an experiment. And since I didn't allow myself to engage in the conversation, and I assume I won't be sharing stuff like that at all on my page in the future. This was kind of like a stepping stone, me experimenting as I go through the process, so I can have podcasts like this and explain it to you guys. So I put it out there and people were arguing and I didn't engage and stuff. And it was yeah, it's so interesting because people will start out voicing their opinion, and then somebody else will voice an opposite opinion, and then it will gradually get a little bit heated, and then they'll kind of be irritated with each other, No big deal. I mean, nobody, went crazy on my page or anything. Sometimes it can get really heated. That didn't happen. But it was just like, it's kind of, what I expected. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what social issue we're discussing. We're not going to change it this way. If we pull like the one topic, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be Trump, it can be Biden, it can be Trump and Harris, it can be equal rights, it can be the LGBTQ community. I don't know what letters that is. They're all people to me, so I don't care. But whatever, whatever's going on now, racial issues, like all this stuff, and the myriad of other problems like corrupt governments, and the list goes on and on and on and on for endlessly. So like I've believed for many, many years, at least 21, I would say. And I think this actually might have gone even before I woke up and got sober and woke up spiritually, that our world is way too far gone. I mean, we're not going, this is why I don't care who becomes president, because it's not going to change anything. Like it's the entire government is corrupt. Like it's, and president doesn't have that much power. Like, I don't care if you elected the perfect person on every local, state, and federal election for the next 20 years. We still couldn't fix the system. The system is based on money and power funneled upward. That doesn't end well. Period. Like the system on Earth is built on sand. It is built to fail. Like, we have all the money that we need. We have all the technology. We have the capability of people. Nobody needs to starve to death on Earth. And yet they are. Right? So there's so many global problems that we think some president of one country is going to fix the world's problems or even make a dent in them. It's not going to happen. So, like, what is going to save us, and this is what I believe, is a new way of being based in love. Our being now is based in greed and power. It is. It's global, and it's been like that for 100,000 years. This is nothing new. We've been working towards the end for the last 100,000 years or so. I mean, I was watching some, I can't think of the name of it, like House of Dragons or something, some series and stuff. And then I was watching some other movie that was like a Western, and I was watching something else. I was watching different things, and I was noticing it was like, it's like, it doesn't matter how long ago you go back in history. In ancient Rome, it was corrupt back then. Why? Because it was based on a pyramid of power and money being funneled upward. That's why. And our society is still based on that. So as long as the way we function is based on greed and power, we're going to have global problems. So we have to have a new way of being. So that's what's being ushered in, a new way of being. And that's what's going to save us. It's the only thing that's going to save us, I think. I mean, we're not going to fix the world's problems. We're going to fix 100,000 years of problems by electing somebody in power to what? Come save us? I don't know. It's just funny to me. It's like it's just I just don't understand. I do. People, I do understand. It's just how we've been like this for so long that people don't know what else to do. So it's like they feel hopeless, they feel helpless, they feel overwhelmed, and they've been told that their vote makes a difference and that's how we do things, and it's a lie and it doesn't do anything. Like Rock the Vote came out in the 80s, like when I was in high school, this big thing. Okay, so we got a lot more people voting and all this stuff, and it hasn't fixed a damn thing. World is worse off 40 years later than it was in high school, and people have been voting. It's not working. you know so it's this new thing of love that's coming in. That's what's going to save us. And the middle is disappearing. It's getting wider and wider and wider to force us to pick a side, which is good, because think about it. Like, if you're on a spiritual path, like, I've been on a spiritual path for over 20 years. If I'm honest and I say, okay, what has caused 90% of the controversy that's in your life? Well, that's society, dysfunctional society, unconscious society, and the things that happen within it. Okay, so why am I staying connected to that? It's broken and it's not going to get fixed. So why don't I lean more? Not only lean, I've been talking about leaning, and I've been using that word, for years. I think we have to stop leaning and literally pick a side, because we're doing the splits right now. And those inner thighs are getting sore as a bastard. So, like, we have to pick a side. It's just getting wider and wider and wider. So the space between positivity and negativity is getting broader and broader and broader. So we have to pick a side. And if we're going to pick a side, we have to really pick a side. So this is, I'm just doing it myself. So I don't have a lot of experience to tell you what it's going to look like. And I think it's going to look different for every person. That's what I was seeing with my clients. Like, it looked different for every person. So some people are going to have to quit their jobs. Some people are going to have to start a business. And I'm not saying tomorrow, maybe over the next year or 6 months, whatever. But a lot of people have been doing this over the last 20 years. See, this is the blessing that I have from being on this path for 20 years, is I've seen such changes happen. Like 21 years ago, I couldn't find anybody to talk to about this stuff, and then 15 years ago, all of a sudden I could, and communities were popping up all around. And I started a community in Rhode Island, and and it was, and people were coming and getting it, and it changing their lives. And it was beautiful, and then 10 years ago, it's like this big leap where it was really kind of getting solid, and it wasn't, it was kind of becoming more mainstream 10 years ago. And then 5 years ago, it's like, it's fully mainstream. Now there's commercials on TV about it, and people are attacking people on the spiritual path. That's good, because we're like, you don't get attacked if nobody knows that you exist, right? So the fact that they're changing words and saying, oh, woke means something negative now, or I don't even follow. I don't even understand what they're talking about with that stuff. People have explained it to me a few times, and I think I think it's so silly that I just can't retain the information because I don't give a crap. Like, you know, now I think woke is even affiliated with a political party. I think that I've seen things about that, which I truly don't understand. But like when you're getting attacked and when they're making commercials about people that are talking about living their best life and opening and love and spirituality and stuff, that's a big shift, man. That's a big shift. There's a lot. There's got to be a lot of people doing it. Because I mean, let's just take the commercial for example. It was like a progressive commercial where somebody was like, "Oh, look, I love it. I love it. I laugh every time I see it," which I kind of only see it during sports seasons, the sports that I watch, which isn't right now, but because that's the only TV that I watch. I don't watch regular TV, but when I watch sports, I'll start seeing some of these commercials, and the yeah, it's a progressive commercial, and this guy's looking out. I think I talked about it before. This guy's looking out and like, oh, this area is beautiful, and it's like, boy, I hope this lasts, because a lot of times when people find out about these places, everybody rushes to them and it wrecks it. And then right after he says that, somebody behind him is like, are you done? And he's like, oh, there they are, and the camera pans around, and there's this big line. And they step out of the way, and this girl steps up with a selfie stick, and she's like, "Hey, fam, I'm just out in this new beautiful nature that I just found, and living my best life and manifesting love or freaking something." I forgot what she says, And I'm like, oh my God, like this type of person has gotten so popular. There's so many that they're actually making commercials, because it doesn't matter. Like if it's a commercial, and this, I explained the commercial a little bit, but this is what I wanted to say. The fact that they're making a commercial out of it is important, because that means that there's enough people trying to live spiritually. It doesn't matter if they're trying pseudo or trying really well or anywhere in between or whatever. People are trying to reach out towards a more loving, peaceful, spiritual way of living. And there's so many people that are doing it that they're making commercials that include it. Now, when they make commercials, especially like a company like Progressive, there's all kinds of research going on. What kind of commercial they're going to make, right? If the average person didn't know what this commercial was about, they wouldn't have made it, because it wouldn't resonate with anybody and it wouldn't stick in anybody's head. Now, granted, I'm sure it sticks in my head a little bit more because I'm on the path, but the fact that they made it means that not only are there a fair amount of people that are like that, but there's so many people that are like that the rest of the people that aren't like that are noticing them. You see what I'm saying? Even it's not all about the people that are on the path. It's that there are so many of us on the path that even the people that aren't on the path are going, what's up with these people? Like, they're aware of us. That's huge. That's how much this shift towards love is happening, right? So it's time for us to really disconnect from that negativity, from all that. Like, I was thinking about this earlier. Think about it, I try to do things logically. I look at it, and I explained why I don't think that the world is going to change any way other than creating a new way of being based in love. So I'm not going to, go back into that. But what I am going to say is are things getting better? No. Like, I can't see how anybody could possibly look at the world and think that things are going in the right direction. Right? I mean, isn't it? I'm hoping. I'm questioning myself. Like, I'm hoping that this isn't a news flash to people. And if it is a news flash to you, just sit and look at it. Like, we've been trying, there's been people wanting to fix the world for a long time. I think most people on the planet are good, like good people, and have fair levels of intelligence. And yet it still keeps getting worse. So at some point, we have to just go, like sometimes, let me put it this way. Sometimes when I've had these conversations with people before, and I've pointed out that what they're doing isn't working, right? Like the voting, the complaining on social media, the whatever anybody protesting, whatever anybody has done in the last 50 years, it's not making, and I'm not saying that we haven't made any ground. We have made a little bit of ground. You know, we've made ground in the area of women's rights, in equal rights. We've made some ground in those things, but we haven't fixed them. How long does it take to fix them? Right? So even the areas that we've made ground, we haven't fixed anything, like anything. At some point, you got to look at it and go, okay, this isn't working. What we're doing just isn't working. And when if I'm having a conversation with people and I get them to that point where they're like, okay, I see what you're saying. It's not working. Usually what they do is they go, okay, Glenn, so then what? So what is the solution? And they want a tangible, they don't want me to, I'm talking about the unconscious masses. They don't want me to say anything spiritual. They want me to reach into my ass and pull out some magic freaking pill that nobody knows about and solve all their problems, which of course I don't have. So then they use that to justify doing what doesn't work. I go, well, we I don't know the answer. Like, in the past, I've had this conversation several times with several different people. And sometimes I'll say we need to adopt a new way of living that's based in love. Sometimes they won't accept that. Or I'll say, or I won't say that. And I'll just say, well, I don't know what the solution is. All I'm saying is that doing what you're doing is obvious that it doesn't work. And if you kind of hold people there, they'll show their cards. If you hold people anywhere, they'll show their cards. But so what they do is, I've literally had multiple people tell me this. They're like, well, I'm not going to just do nothing. I go, okay, so you're going to continue doing what you know doesn't work rather than do nothing. I would rather do nothing personally than spend my energy doing something that has been proven to not work over and over and over and over again, expecting some miracle to come out of it. I am not going to do that. I'm not going to spend my energy doing something that is proven to not work. And that's what I think we can learn from history. Every civilization has failed. And you know what? Every civilization has been built on a system of power. And you want to know the example of one that hasn't failed? Now, it's not technically a civilization, but it's an organization. And I don't know that this is really a good example, or it's a good example. I don't know if it's the best example. I don't know if it's comparing apples to apples. I think it's kind of comparing apples to oranges. Okay. I'm just being honest, but it's just to plant a seed inside your head that there are other ways of doing things. And that's Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, if you they've studied Alcoholics Anonymous because it's an organization that has been around since, was it 1939, I think. So, 39, say 40, 60, 85 years, like 85 years or something. So like, and its whole principle is that there is no power or and there is no money to be made in AA, in Alcoholics Anonymous, in the organization. You cannot make money and you cannot gain power in that organization. And that is why it's not having the problems a lot of other organizations have had. And after 85 years, it's the least possible organization. That organization, one of its principles is the least possible organization. And no possible money to be made and no possible power to be gained. So I think that this is what we're moving towards, a system like that where there is no power. There's a saying, I forgot who said it, but it says basically, only those who do not want power are worthy to have it. This is the type of mentality that I'm talking about. Yes, I know people are outside, Faith. Yes, I know. Faith wants to go outside and play with the people. So the point I was making is that people would rather do something that they know doesn't work than do nothing. And that's not good. Because actually doing nothing is doing something. Doing nothing like on a physical level, like let's say addressing any of the social problems that are in the world. Let's say those of us on the spiritual path don't do any of that. Okay. And we just focus on creating a life where we live in love, like truly live in love. Every moment of every day to the best of our ability. If we have to go to, we'll grow our own food, or we'll go to the grocery store and we'll center ourselves before we go in and just make sure that we just walk in loving energy. And we don't even have to talk to anybody. Just if everybody put all the energy that they are putting in trying to stay connected to the dysfunctional unconscious aspect of society, if we took all that energy back and used that to just be love and emanate love, that would change the world. And this is what we're being called to do. If we're going to create a new paradigm as a species based in love, it has to start somewhere. And those of us on the spiritual path, we have to start understanding who and what we are. We are at the forefront of this spiritual movement. So we want, it seems like a lot of times we spend too much energy looking back at the unconscious masses going, oh, they need to wake up. Oh, they need to turn to love. Oh, the love of power. They need to let go of that. Oh, their greed. They need to let go of that. Oh, we need to be equal. Oh, this, oh, that. And we're just, all our attention and our energy is going towards the unconscious masses. And we're not going to fix that world. That world's falling apart because it no longer works and it's just falling apart. So we have to stay focused on what we're creating and let go of what's falling apart. Stop putting the energy towards what's falling apart. Even by condemning it is putting energy towards it, and it's feeding it. Like I was thinking, I mentioned that Olympic opening ceremony I didn't even see it. But, that's the latest thing that everybody was freaking out about. And I was thinking, like, I didn't see it. I bet you at least 3/4 of the people that are talking about it on social media and have been exposed to it through social media and the posts and the arguments about it, 3/4 of those people would not have been exposed to that if people didn't argue and complain about it. It's the only reason. If the people that didn't like it, when I don't like that, I think it's making fun of the Last Supper, and I think it's blasphemy, and I think it's BS, and I don't like it. And they just came to that conclusion and then went and got some popcorn and then watched the Olympic events and did nothing else. So much less. Like hundreds of millions of people would not even have known that happened. They wouldn't have been exposed to it. Like, so the whole idea behind people that don't like it, like, I have no opinion on this. I could give two craps. So, like, I'm not saying that it was wrong, and I'm not saying that it was right. I don't have an opinion. But for those who think it was wrong, like, what's the negative repercussions from that, right? The negative repercussions could be that people see this and they get the wrong impression, and I don't even know, like, whatever negative thing you think can come from that being shown on television to millions of people, whatever negativity you think could come from that, try to understand that the fact that people that didn't like it, now the people who didn't like it caused all the controversy. The people who had no problem with it sure as heck didn't cause the controversy because they had no problem with it, right? So they're not the ones that are spreading it. The people that are spreading it are the ones that have a problem with it. Right? Let that sink in. Maybe, I don't know the numbers. Maybe we'll go with billions because there's billions of people. I'm just going to make it easy. Let's just say 1 billion people watch the Olympics, which I don't think could possibly be true. But let's say 1 billion people watch the Olympics and were exposed to this horrible negativity, and it was, and it messed up kids' minds, and it caused a reverberation of evil throughout the world, right? Let's just say that that's true, just for the sake of argument. And 1 billion people got exposed to that. The people that are complaining about it and have gone from have turned it from a situation that was exposed to 1 billion people to a situation that was exposed to 5 billion people because of their complaining. They quadrupled the amount of people who were affected by this by their attacking it. Do you see how we're not helping? And we think, and that goes for everything. It's not just that. The politics, the everything that we're arguing about. Those of us that are standing up going, we shouldn't have this in our world anymore. We are just as big, if not bigger, of a problem of keeping this negativity in the world as the people who are doing it or who don't see it as negative. We're worse. We're feeding it more. This is how we're part of the problem. So this is what we need to stop doing. We need to disconnect from all that crap, all the facade, all the BS, all the problems, all the social issues, all the things that we think are destroying the world. It's not destroying the world. What's destroying the world is a system, that old system that all that stuff lives in. All that controversy lives in. It lives in a dream of the planet that's failing and falling apart and disconnecting, and it's a mess. And we're over here going, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Like, yeah, we get it, it's bad. How about like creating a new way of being over here? So when all these people start having enough and start looking for a solution, we're over here creating it. We're living in communities, we're growing our own food, we're living off grid, or we're downsizing the small homes so we're not financially strapped and working all the time, or we're working jobs that we love instead of working jobs that we hate. We're homeschooling our children instead of putting them into the system and processing them. We're like all this stuff. We're not using their healthcare systems. We're learning about plants and treating ourselves at home and using our own, I just mixed some white vinegar and some freaking dish detergent to clean my shower. Like, that's my new thing. I'm like Googling DIY home solutions. And I got some essential oils and some witch hazel and some white vinegar and some stuff like this, and I'm making all kinds of different things, scented sprays for laundry and for my stinky hiking shoes, and what else did I make? Oh, some other stuff to deter ants and mosquitoes around, and it's all natural stuff, and it's really cheap, and I'm just making it in my kitchen in like 10 minutes. Watching a YouTube video. It's amazing. Like, we need to, I'm living up in the mountains in the DR, and find your way. I'm just trying to give examples to hopefully grow a tomato plant on your porch. I don't care. Just disconnect from the dysfunction and find new ways that are friendlier with the environment, to save the world's environment. No, I'm not worried about the world. I just don't think it's a good idea to damage it. Like, I'm not worried about Mother Nature. Mother Nature would shake us off like a wet dog if we do too much damage to her. I'm not trying to save how arrogant are we to think that we can destroy the planet? Like, I'm just trying to do good and work with the planet so it supports me. It's there and it's here to support me, and I'm here to support it. That's just nature. Like, I don't have to destroy it. This is more love-based. That's all. So that middle ground is disappearing. Pick a side. Get more dramatic with your choices. Leave that job or make your own stuff at home, or start growing your own herbs on the back of your door, or something, anything. But do it. And I'm telling you, vibrating at the rate of love is going to do more for this world than like anything else. It's going to do a heck of a lot more than fighting social issues against a system that is falling apart. Let it fall apart. Let it go. Disconnect from all that dysfunction and all that drama and all that controversy. It's not going to get fixed. The only chance we have is to create a new paradigm, which we are doing. We're creating it. So focus on creating a new paradigm. Be loving. Walk around in peace. Disconnect from the phone and the technology to some degree. And learn to be still. Meditate more. Stuff like that. Do it at your own pace, So yeah, it's just, there's no middle ground, man. We got to pick a side, like if you're walking up the middle of the road, it doubles your chances of getting hit. Pick a side, So that's going to do it. Hopefully I got my point across. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, watching. I appreciate you. Peace.